Welcome, chosen one. They expected grace, softness, a soul too pure to ever push back. They thought you, an earth angel, would be harmless, trapped in endless forgiveness. But here's the truth they were never ready for. The most dangerous force in the universe is a heart that loves deeply, but sees through lies without mercy. People hear earth angel and imagine a peaceful, passive spirit. But they forget. Light isn't just warmth, it's also fire. Fire that can heal or consume. The same hands you use to comfort can also defend with relentless strength when pushed too far. Beware the fury of a patient soul. Those who mistake your kindness for weakness are the first to fall when that kindness turns into unshakable resolve. Mercy isn't submission. It's a conscious choice made by someone strong enough to offer it. And when you choose to revoke that mercy, no apology can save them. Imagine standing before a mirror that shows them exactly who they are, stripped of pretense, masks shattered. That's what happens when you stop holding back. You become a living reflection of truth, exposing darkness in the most unforgiving way. Control and manipulation thrive in shadows. But the moment you shine your full light, their games fall apart. Pretenders crumble, liars are unmasked, and the wolves in sheep's clothing are revealed for what they are, powerless in the face of truth. A storm isn't dangerous because it's loud. It's dangerous because it's unstoppable. You are the universe's fiercest warrior, the one who's endured in silence, smiled through betrayal, and stood alone in the face of impossible odds. When you finally rise, it's not for revenge. It's to reclaim your power, to remind the world that softness isn't weakness, and resilience isn't permission to be taken for granted. So, to those who thought you would forever endure their cruelty, be warned. The fire they tried to extinguish is now a blazing inferno. And the scariest part, you never lose your grace, even when you rise like a legend, smiling, untouchable, walking through chaos without a single scar that wasn't earned. They thought they could push, break, and conquer you. They were wrong, because the most terrifying angel isn't the one who's always kind. It's the one who chooses not to be when it's time. And, chosen ones, if this message wakens something powerful within you, if you feel destiny pulling you toward your highest calling, drop 77 in the comments as a sign of your spiritual awakening. Hit the like button to spread this undeniable truth far and wide, igniting a fire in those who need to hear it. Subscribe so you never miss a word of wisdom or a spark of inspiration, because this journey isn't just about surviving the storms. It's about rising above them, stepping fully into your purpose, and building a legacy that outlasts time itself. You've claimed your place. Now it's time to go deeper. Let's uncover why your path has been so intensely tested, how every obstacle was designed to sharpen your destiny, and why what they meant for harm has become your greatest source of power. Let's rise together. Number 1. The lion in the lamb's clothing. They saw your kindness and thought it meant you were soft. They mistook your compassion for weakness, assuming that a heart so open couldn't possibly know how to defend itself. But they couldn't have been more wrong. As the saying goes, don't mistake my silence for acceptance or my kindness for permission. When you have a pure heart, people think you'll tolerate anything. They believe you'll endlessly forgive, let things slide, and turn the other cheek, even when they push too far. But what they never expected was the wall you built, not out of bitterness, but out of unshakable self-worth. They wanted access to your warmth, thinking it came without limits. They thought they could bask in your light while draining your energy. until they ran straight into your boundaries. Suddenly, the same heart they thought they could manipulate became something they couldn't control or even understand. And just like that, the dynamic shifted. You didn't scream, you didn't argue, you didn't fight for validation, you simply stopped giving them access. As the old proverb goes, the most dangerous person is the one who doesn't need anyone's approval to walk away. The world expects nice people to be endlessly accommodating, too polite to stand their ground. But you've mastered the art of drawing lines without losing your grace. You set boundaries firmly, but calmly, leaving no room for argument. Your refusal isn't loud, but it's immovable, and that quiet strength speaks volumes. This confuses them, leaves them stunned. How can someone so loving be so resolute? How can someone so giving know exactly when to stop giving? The answer is simple. You've learned through experience. As the wise often say, not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Some came into your life with hands that only took, expecting your spirit to bend under the weight of their demands. But instead, they found that your heart is guarded by wisdom earned through fire. You can forgive, but you won't forget the lessons you've learned. They thought they could manipulate your empathy, not realizing that real compassion isn't enabling. It's knowing when to walk away. When you finally said no, they didn't just hear a word. They felt the unshakable force behind it. You weren't angry, you were done. They didn't expect the end to be so quiet, so absolute. A door closing softly but permanently. And as the saying goes, a lion doesn't have to roar to be feared. What shakes them the most is that your kindness never faded. You still radiate love, still carry light, but not for them. They thought they could own a piece of your spirit, not realizing that you belong only to yourself. The same heart that loves deeply also protects fiercely. The same hands that heal also build walls made of steel when needed. They thought your love was a weakness, but they never understood that real power is love with boundaries. In the end, they're left staring at something they never saw coming, a closed door, a final answer, an unbreakable truth. They can no longer touch what they took for granted. And in that moment, they realize the harshest truth of all. As the wise say, you were kind, but not for them. You were strong, but not for them. And now they have nothing. Number 2, the eyes that pierce the mask. They walked in with charm dripping from their words, cloaked in confidence, convinced their facade was flawless. They believed their carefully crafted illusions would blind you, just as they'd fooled so many before. But what they never expected was you. As the old saying goes, you can't deceive someone who sees with their soul. An earth angel isn't just a being of light. You are a seer of truth. Your mind, sharp and intuitive, cuts through lies like a blade forged in divine fire. No mask, no clever words, no web of manipulation can withstand the sheer force of your perception. You see them, truly see them, not the version they try to present, not the role they play, but the hidden self they fight so hard to conceal. And that realization hits them like a thunderclap. They expected a gentle spirit they could mold or manipulate, someone who would accept their lies without question. But instead, they found themselves standing under the spotlight of your awareness, every pretense stripped bare. It's as if your gaze alone can pierce through armor, illuminating what they hoped would remain buried. Suddenly, their comfort in deception shatters. Truth is like fire. It doesn't have to be loud to burn. Here's the thing, they don't even need to hear you speak to feel exposed. Your presence alone makes them uneasy. They become restless, defensive, even hostile, as if they know you've silently uncovered what they worked so hard to hide. Their unease isn't about what you say, it's about what you know, and that's the most terrifying part for them. They built their power on lies, control, and manipulation, thinking they'd always hold the upper hand. But now, without lifting a finger, you've become their greatest threat. A lie has speed, but truth has endurance. You don't flaunt your insight. You don't need to. You simply see. You watch, you understand, and you choose when or if to act. This quiet clarity is what rattles them the most. They can't escape the mirror you silently hold up to their souls. In a world built on illusions, you are the one thing they can't manipulate, the one person who sees through the smoke and mirrors, and that shakes them to their core. They expected an angel who wouldn't dare see through the darkness. But they got a warrior of truth instead. Number 3. The silent authority of a soul that knows its worth. An earth angel doesn't have to raise their voice or demand recognition. Their presence alone speaks volumes. It's not about being loud or commanding attention through force. It's about the quiet, unshakable energy that commands respect without ever asking for it. As the saying goes, true power is felt, not heard. When you walk into a room, people notice, even if they pretend not to. They may try to dismiss you or act indifferent, but your energy lingers long after you've left. There's something about your calm self-assurance that unsettles those who thrive on control and approval-seeking. They can't figure you out, and that terrifies them. They're used to people chasing their attention, bending over backward for validation. But you need nothing from them. Your worth isn't determined by anyone's opinion because you know exactly who you are. Confidence isn't walking into a room thinking you're better. It's walking in knowing you don't need to compare. For those driven by ego, your quiet strength feels like a threat. They don't know how to handle someone who refuses to compete, who isn't playing their game at all. You're just there, whole, complete, untouchable. The most unsettling part, you're not even trying. You aren't proving anything, chasing recognition, or seeking approval. Your focus is on your path, your purpose, and your inner truth. And in that effortless authenticity lies a power far more intimidating than arrogance ever could be. As the wise often say, respect isn't given to the loudest voice. It's given to the strongest presence. And when they meet yours, they realize they never stood a chance. You've already won without saying a word. Number 4. The steel beneath the wings. An earth angel isn't just a passive observer drifting through life. They are guardians of truth, defenders of what's right. People see their gentle nature and assume they'll stay quiet, avoid conflict, or step aside when darkness looms. But when faced with injustice, cruelty, or deception, an earth angel becomes an unstoppable force. As the saying goes, kind souls aren't weak, they are warriors in disguise. Their strength isn't in how loud they can shout or how hard they can strike. It's in the unyielding resolve that rises when something they cherish is at stake. They aren't moved by fear, intimidation, or pressure. Their values are carved in stone. A storm only bows to the mountain that refuses to move. Most people are used to dealing with those who can be convinced, manipulated, or swayed, but not you. They thought your kindness meant you'd be easy to influence, someone who would back down when things got hard. They assumed you'd be willing to compromise to avoid conflict, but when they pushed too far, they encountered a force beyond anything they could have imagined. Your strength doesn't come from anger, it comes from conviction. You don't make threats or create a scene. You stand firm, silently daring the storm to try its best. That quiet, immovable presence feels more dangerous than any loud display of power ever could. Loyalty to truth can't be bought or silenced. When people realize you can't be manipulated, they feel the weight of your spirit. They see that your loyalty runs deeper than words, and that your love for justice burns hotter than any flame of anger. You are a protector, a guardian, unyielding and unwavering, and that's far more intimidating than anyone ever expected from someone they once thought was just kind. Number 5. The calm before their storm breaks. In a world driven by chaos and manipulation, where control is maintained through conflict and confusion, your inner peace is the most disarming weapon of all. It's not just a personality trait. It's a fortress of unshakable strength, built through experience, wisdom, and spiritual resilience. As the saying goes, peace is not the absence of storms, but the presence of unyielding stillness within. People who thrive on stirring up drama, provoking reactions, and controlling narratives find themselves powerless in the face of someone who simply won't be moved. They expect you to flinch, to argue, to be dragged into their web of manipulation, but instead they're met with calm, steady silence. They can't figure you out. Their power relies on creating emotional turbulence, but you remain untouched. No amount of provocation, gossip, or drama can reach you because your mind and spirit are grounded in truth. While others get caught in the chaos, you stand still, centered, and clear. He who controls himself controls the world. To those who manipulate, your stillness is terrifying. It tells them without words that their games won't work here. They can't shake you. They can't access your emotions, distort your reality, or push you off balance. Every attempt to rattle you crashes and fades, like waves against an immovable rock. And that's when fear sets in. Not for you, but for them. They're used to controlling others by triggering emotional responses. But when faced with a soul who controls themselves, their power dissolves. True power isn't loud. It's calm, quiet, and immovable. Your inner peace is a silent declaration that their chaos has no place in your world. It tells them without words that no storm they create will ever touch the stillness you carry within. You own yourself, and nothing they do will change that. Number 6. The flame that never dies. They saw your gentleness and thought it meant fragility. They assumed your calm, compassionate nature made you easy to manipulate or break under pressure. But what they never realized is that your gentleness is a choice, not a weakness. A conscious decision forged in a fire they'll never understand. As the saying goes, still waters run deep. They thought they could push you to the edge, expecting you to fall apart when the pressure became too much. But instead of crumbling, you stood stronger, steadier than ever. What they expected to break was met with a will as unyielding as steel. They didn't see it coming. Your resilience doesn't roar or demand recognition. It's quiet, steady, and relentless. It's not something you flaunt, but when you're tested, when life presses against you, your true strength shines through. An unshakable soul doesn't need to prove its power. It lives it. Every attempt they made to break you only revealed their own powerlessness. Their manipulation, their cruelty, their attempts to chip away at your spirit, they all failed. Every blow they delivered was met with a wall they couldn't see. A spirit that simply refuses to be destroyed. And that's where the fear sets in, for them. They were prepared for anger, for retaliation, for an emotional outburst, but not for silence, not for resilience. Your unbreakable spirit doesn't react. It endures. It transcends. Resilience isn't about never falling, it's about rising every single time. While they rely on control, manipulation, and external power, your strength comes from within. It can't be bought, stolen, or weakened by anything outside of you. And that truth hits harder than any weapon ever could. What they thought was gentle turned out to be indestructible. What they saw as soft became their greatest threat. You didn't just survive, you rose. And that is something they were never prepared for. Number 7. The light that exposes the shadows. An earth angel doesn't need to shout or accuse to uncover deception. Their very presence is truth in its purest form, burning through falsehoods like fire through dry leaves. In a world built on lies and carefully curated masks, their words become a mirror, reflecting reality exactly as it is, raw, unfiltered, undeniable. As the saying goes, truth doesn't scream, it shines. People who survive by spinning webs of deception aren't ready for this kind of clarity. They've spent years perfecting their facades, mastering manipulation, and evading accountability. They expect to control narratives with charm, excuses, and half-truths until they meet you. Your words cut deeper than any weapon, not because you intend harm, but because you speak from a place of unshakable authenticity. You don't sugarcoat reality to spare feelings, or distort the facts to fit someone else's comfort. You don't play along. You simply speak the truth, clear, sharp, and undeniable. A lie runs until the truth decides to walk. What unsettles them most is that you aren't trying to expose anyone. You're just being real. It's your natural state. To see through the illusions, to feel what's hidden beneath the surface. Your perception is uncorrupted by deceit, and your honesty can't be bought, manipulated, or silenced. They can't hide from you. While others might be fooled by polished lies and elaborate stories, you see through it all, not because you're suspicious, but because truth resonates with you on a soul-deep level. It reveals itself effortlessly in your presence. The truth doesn't need defense, it defends itself. And that's what they fear most. They know there's no room to maneuver, no way to twist the story when faced with your steady, unyielding clarity. Their carefully built illusions shatter, not through force, but by simply standing in the light of your truth. And that truth, it burns. Number 8. Forgiveness with boundaries, the kindness they can't control. An earth angel's forgiveness is not a reset button, it's a release. It's a conscious decision to let go of anger and resentment, but never the lesson. People who expect endless second chances, thinking forgiveness means forgetting, are in for a harsh awakening. As the saying goes, forgive them, but never hand them the knife again. Most assume forgiveness comes with a clean slate, that once an earth angel lets go of the past, the door is wide open again. They couldn't be more wrong. Forgiveness isn't about pretending something never happened. It's about moving forward without carrying the burden of bitterness. But moving forward doesn't mean moving backward. When someone crosses an earth angel's boundaries, they may be met with grace, but not with access. Compassion isn't permission. They'll forgive for their own peace, but they'll never forget the betrayal or the lesson it taught them. I forgive you, but I also remember who you are. This is where confusion turns into fear. People who counted on manipulating emotions, who assumed forgiveness meant returning to how things were, suddenly face a cold, immovable truth. They are no longer welcome. There's no shouting, no angry confrontation, just a quiet closure. The past is forgiven, but the future belongs to someone else. This boundary of the soul is more unsettling than any form of retaliation. It leaves them powerless, trapped outside a door they thought would always reopen. Forgiveness doesn't erase consequences, it sets the forgiver free. The Earth Angel's forgiveness is a final act of strength, not surrender. It releases the burden of hate, but keeps the memory close. As a shield, a guide, a lesson burned into the soul. By the time they realize forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's already too late. They've been left behind, for good. Number 9. The power that needs no introduction. An Earth Angel's presence is a silent force, a current of peace, clarity, and undeniable energy that reshapes the atmosphere of any room. They don't have to speak or make themselves known. Their very existence shifts the dynamic in ways most people can't comprehend. As the saying goes, true power doesn't announce itself, it's felt. For those used to controlling narratives, manipulating emotions, or dominating social spaces, this is deeply unsettling. The familiar rules they rely on, attention-seeking power plays and mind games, suddenly stop working. Their grip weakens, and they can't explain why. And then they realize, it's you. You don't play into their tactics. You're beyond the game. Your energy radiates authenticity, which silences manipulation without confrontation. Their usual strategies fall apart, not because you're trying to overpower them, but because your presence makes deceit impossible. The strongest energy in the room is the one that doesn't need to prove itself. What shakes them the most is that you're unpredictable. They can't manipulate what they can't understand. Your stillness unnerves them. Your calm presence forces them to recalibrate. They try to regain control, but find themselves off balance, disarmed, exposed. While they seek attention and validation, you radiate something far greater: inner authority. You don't need approval, acknowledgement, or permission to exist fully in your truth. That alone breaks their hold. Respect is commanded, not demanded. And in your presence, the mask slips. They can't manipulate the energy when your light is illuminating everything they tried to keep hidden. Their power dissolves, not through force, but through presence. By the time they realize they're no longer in control, it's already too late. You've already shifted the entire field without saying a word. Number 10. Freedom that can't be chained. An Earth Angel moves through life with a sense of spiritual detachment that terrifies those who rely on control through attachment. They aren't bound by earthly titles, possessions, or relationships, and that makes them impossible to manipulate. As the saying goes, the one who needs nothing is the hardest to control. Most people live in fear of loss, whether it's love, status, or approval. Manipulators thrive on this fear, using it to keep others under their influence. But you don't play by those rules. You've already accepted one of life's deepest truths. Nothing is permanent. You fear nothing because you've made peace with everything. They expect you to be like everyone else, attached, dependent, and desperate for validation. But you don't cling. Your worth isn't tied to who stays or what you have. Your identity comes from within, from your mission, your purpose, something no one can take away. The free soul cannot be trapped. When they try to manipulate you with rejection, abandonment, or even promises of something better, they find no leverage. Their tactics fall flat because you're already whole. You've built yourself from the inside out, independent of approval, unaffected by loss. And that's when they panic. They can't trap you because you don't fear walking away. You're not tied to temporary things, people, or illusions. You stay by choice, not need. You give from abundance, not desperation. As the saying goes, you can't lose what you're willing to let go. Your independence becomes their worst nightmare. They can't offer anything that would make you abandon your values or control your spirit. By the time they realize there's nothing they can hold over you, they're left grasping at empty air, because your freedom was never theirs to take. Number 11. Love without limits but with boundaries. Love without limits is often misunderstood as endless tolerance, a limitless capacity to accept, forgive, and endure. Many believe it means putting up with anything in the name of compassion. But for an earth angel, love without limits isn't blind, it's wise. As the saying goes, love everyone, but don't invite everyone into your life. Your love is infinite, but not without standards. You give with an open heart, offering compassion, care, and understanding, but only to those who respect your boundaries and honor your values. Kindness isn't permission, and your forgiveness isn't a free pass for repeated harm. Love without respect is just manipulation wearing a mask. Some see your giving nature and assume you'll accept anything. They expect endless patience, limitless support, and forgiveness without accountability. They think they've found someone they can take from forever. But they were wrong. Your love is fierce, not fragile. It uplifts and heals, but it doesn't enable. It's compassionate, but discerning. You give freely, but you never compromise your self-worth. If someone expects love, without limits, without accountability, they quickly realize your heart comes with unshakable principles. Love without limits doesn't mean tolerance without end. People used to taking without giving back can't comprehend how someone so loving can also be so unyielding. They assume that kindness comes with no boundaries, only to discover a wall built from self-respect. You love deeply, but never blindly. Your compassion is pure, but it's also intentional. And that realization leaves them stunned, because manipulation fails where love with standards reigns. By the time they understand that love without limits still has rules, it's already too late. Number 12. The strength to leave and never look back. The greatest power you hold as an earth angel is your ability to walk away without hesitation or regret from anything that no longer serves your higher purpose. It's not just about physically leaving. It's about stepping forward with peace of mind, unshaken resolve, and the understanding that what lies ahead aligns far more with your destiny than anything left behind. As the saying goes, sometimes walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. This ability terrifies those who believed they could control you. They assumed your kindness meant unyielding loyalty, that you would endure negativity out of duty or obligation. But they didn't understand your strength. When you decide to leave, it's final. You don't seek closure or validation. You don't second-guess or dwell on what could have been. You walk away with dignity and assurance because you know your self-respect comes first. Your decision isn't made in anger or bitterness. It's a declaration of self-worth. It sends a message loud and clear. Loyalty is earned, not owed. Compassion has boundaries. Patience has limits. What you don't respect, you lose. Those who thought they could manipulate, guilt, or pressure you into staying are left stunned. They believed they held the power until they realized nothing they say or do can change your decision. Your ability to sever ties isn't an act of revenge. It's a symbol of strength, a reminder that you can't be trapped in a place that no longer aligns with your purpose. Walking away is your ultimate power, and when you do, it leaves those behind questioning their control. They are forced to confront their actions, knowing they will never again reclaim what they lost. You leave, and you never look back, and that is something they will never forget. So, the chosen Earth Angel's true power lies in balance. They combine compassion with strength, forgiveness with self-preservation, and kindness with fierce boundaries. Their love heals, but it doesn't enable. Their loyalty runs deep, but only for those who respect it. They transform the spaces they enter. Their energy shifts rooms, dissolves deception, and commands respect. Without ever needing to raise their voice, they see through lies, shatter illusions, and expose hidden truths, all while standing calmly in their light. They walk away, not out of anger, but out of wisdom. They leave behind toxicity without regret, taking only the lessons learned. Their strength isn't just in enduring, it's in choosing peace over chaos, self-worth over empty promises. People can't grasp what they can't control. Many try to twist the narrative, manipulate emotions, or test boundaries. They expect endless patience, thinking kindness means vulnerability, but they couldn't be more wrong. Because an earth angel is a force of nature, untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. They exist beyond the reach of control, beyond the grasp of manipulation. Their power comes from within, rooted in purpose, driven by light, and strengthened by every challenge meant to break them. And, chosen ones, if this message resonates deep within your soul, if you felt the power of your own transformation, drop 77 in the comments as a sign of spiritual alignment. Hit the like button to spread this truth far and wide, awakening others who need to hear it. Subscribe so you never miss a moment of wisdom, power, and inspiration. Because this journey isn't about surviving the storms. It's about rising through them, transforming into someone unstoppable. You are a force they can never control. You are the power they'll never forget. Let's rise together.